All right, all right, all right. What's up, everybody? Again, Logan forgot to put my intro music in, so I will scold him. I will scold him, and I will lecture him, and ultimately, Celeste, I will fine him. But that's neither here nor there. He just got engaged, so I might cut him some slack, but not much more, Logan. This is your one. I will give you the one. This is my wedding anniversary gift to you. It's your one. Next time I need my intro music. With that being said, though, here in another edition of the Whiskey Hour, here with my friend Celeste Marie Wilson. Y'all all know her. Who
just did their makeup.
Hey, that's how we do. She thought she was going to have an intro. No, not today. I don't know about you, Celeste, but my wife, when she puts on her makeup, she has this lady that does makeup tutorials or like a graphic, I guess she's like some kind of makeup artist, and she'll show you all these cool things you can do with your makeup. And while she's doing her makeup, she will tell you stories, like all these creepy, weird, like real stories, like murders and kidnappings, and all this craziness, right? And she's reading, it's like true stories. I don't know. Do you do that? Is that a women thing to watch women makeup videos telling crazy stories? Is that a thing?
No.
That's not a thing?
That's your household thing.
Huh.
I turn on the
Well, that would certainly explain a lot. So I don't know. It freaks me out, man. I'm telling you, it freaks me out. Because she'll start at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll be like dead sleeping.
5 o'clock?
Like dead sleeping. And then these things start creeping in my brain, these thoughts and images. And then I wake up and I realize I'm dreaming off of what she's listening to doing her makeup. And then I tell her, I said, "No, you gotta cut that mess out. I'm over here counting sheep, and now I'm talking about murdering sheep. What the hell is that all about?" No, so you can't make it up, Celeste. This is true stuff, man. This is called married life. Now, maybe when you get married, when your time comes and you're doing your morning rituals, you never know. What would you do if your husband got up and was getting himself ready for work and he starts putting in creepy, weird stories while you're sleeping? Would that freak you out a little bit?
I'd be running.
I'm saying, man. And that's the thing too, Celeste. They trick you when you get married, Celeste. You get tricked right by your spouse, whoever it is. They trick you, Celeste. They trick you because you see this one version of them, Celeste, and then you get engaged. And then you see another version of them, which is kind of like the sweeter version of the original version, because now they know they're heading home and they want to close the deal and sign the contract and seal it all up. So they're very nice. And then you get married, and the minute that man says, "I do," you go to your honeymoon. She makes it all nice and pretty. But then you get home day one after post-honeymoon, and you see a version of your spouse. You're like, "Oh, my God, what the hell are you? Who are you? Who did I marry? You're so different now. You're so weird." I'm just saying there's very transitional processes from being a girlfriend to being a fiance to being married, post day one after the honeymoon. I'm just saying it's weird.
Jay, have you ever thought about that? That's why you have to scare your spouse. Maybe that's why your wife is listening to murder podcasts, so she knows.
So cranking you in is what you're saying. She's feeling me out as she's going along.
She's like, "Oh, he's not acting right," and then she turns on a murder podcast to subconsciously scare you into submission.
Man, women are sneaky.
They are. That's what I do.
I know. That's what freaks me out. For those of you that don't know, Celeste has now been entered into a songwriting contest. Let me get that correctly. It is the Outlaws Legends Songwriting Contest that goes down this Saturday, and the winner gets to open up for ZZ Top. Now, tell me, Celeste, a little bit about what it is. Do you have to submit the song, lyrics, and everything, or a tape of it, and then you go down there and perform it? How does that all work?
So you send in your submission, and then out of the submissions, they have certain people come and compete in real life. So I'll be at a venue, and I'll play 2 songs live for a panel of judges to judge. And then probably, I don't know if it's that day or a little bit after, they'll let me know if I won or not, or if I'm a finalist.
Right. So you do send an actual. Are you going to video it and send it in, or are you just going to send an audio version of it in, or how does Is that what you're doing, or? Okay.
So I go there with my guitar and I sing the songs I'm gonna sing to them there.
Nice. Nice. Have these songs been written yet, or are you in the process now of gathering that together?
I think I have the songs written. I have one. Do you remember that Jesus Tequila and Whiskey song?
I sure as heck do, because you did it out there in Nashville.
That feels like a great song for this. I feel like that is very. I grew up listening to ZZ Top, like every Texan has.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I've grown up listening to ZZ Top, and I feel like that song is gonna fit the vibe.
You know, a lot of people don't realize that ZZ Top went to high school in Galena Park, Texas. Guess who they went to high school with? My aunt. My aunt knows Billy Gibbons and all them. Oh yeah, she knows them. Oh yeah, and that's why I like ZZ Top, because they're hometown boys. You know, you always love anything that's hometown. Patrick Swayze went to San Jacinto College. So he's Patrick Swayze is a hometown boy. I love anything that's hometown, and I love ZZ Top. I mean, who doesn't love ZZ Top? Really?
Doesn't.
I mean, it's amazing. So that's amazing. Okay, so the songs are currently in production. Except for I think you should do the Jesus Tequila and Whiskey, because I think that's very Texas.
I agree.
You know, I really believe that I pray before I drink, and I typically do start off with a little Moscow. Yeah. Well, I do go on to a little whiskey, and then I kind of reverse back to Jesus, usually over a porcelain altar. Me saying what went wrong, what could I have done better. You know, I give myself a self-reflection of the moment, and Jesus helps me through it.
That happens with Jesus.
I think it happens more often than we realize. Sometimes, not all the time. It's amazing. I think when you're in your younger years, it's probably more prevalent. But as you get older, it kind of tapers down. Because I think in your younger years, you're just mixing it, having a good time. Then as you get older and older, by the time you get to my age, you're not really trying to get drunk anymore. You're just trying to drink for taste. And so then you start getting things neat. And anyway, that's the evolution of drinking. I apologize.
I've only ever drank neat. I don't drink mixed drinks.
Yeah, I would stay away from it, because you don't need the sugar. You already got enough sugar and alcohol.
Since I've got celiac disease and everything has to be gluten-free, it makes me nervous.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I know exactly what's in it. And same thing, I don't know. When I was at one of my performances, somebody drugged me, like in water. And it was tasteless and odorless and everything. So the more I can see what's happening behind the bar, the happier I am. So like if I just pour it straight into a cup, no ice, no nothing, it's really hard to funk that up, especially if I'm standing right there watching. But when it's being mixed and it's being moved and I can't see what's happening, that I'm like,
I'm going to find it and I'm going to text it to you at some point today after the show is over with. I was watching Shark Tank. I want to say maybe about a year and a half ago, I was watching Shark Tank, and they had a lady come out about that very thing, and she had made this little cover, and it fits right over your cup, and I think you could put a straw in it and everything, but you put it over your cup so that way nobody could put stuff into your drinks. I will find that for you, because I think that's a really cool thing, because I do believe that can happen to you at any moment, at any time. I think a lot of times that can happen.
Dangerous it is, especially if you are someone, like if they have your name up in front of the bar and then and everybody knows who you are. I think it puts you at a slightly higher risk than just going to the bar for fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's really cool though, man. Like this thing it can like fold up or wrinkle up, whatever. You put it in your pocket. So when you go to your bars or whatever, you can just pull it out of your pocket, slap it over your cup, and keep rolling. That way, if you set your cup down and you're talking with your friend, somebody can't just come and spike your mess. Because I really do think that's a problem. I think that's a big problem in America.
It is a huge problem. It's more than people think, And
yeah.
The other thing is I've read about like some sort of nail polish you can put your finger in, and like the nail polish color will change if it's been
spiked. If it's spiked? Ooh, that's a smart idea too. I like that too.
And I usually paint my nails, so I was like, that wouldn't be a bad idea, because then it like you just put your finger in and you can tell.
Yeah. Just make sure you're using your finger. Don't use somebody else's. That's weird. Use your own string. Yeah, use your own finger. I don't know. I'm always thinking weird like that. I apologize. That's my OCD, I guess, popping out. But I think that's a really good opportunity for you. What's coming up, man? And I think we all know you're going to do well. I wouldn't be surprised if you were picked. I like the Jesus tequila whiskey thing. I like it. Yeah, I think it's going to be phenomenal. And I like this. It's upbeat. It's catchy. It lures you in. I think I Said For You kind of does the same thing. I think it kind of lures you in. And I think if I was Billy and them, I think that's what I'd want opening for me is songs that brings the audience in. But I also would think I would want an opener that can get the crowd going, that can get the crowd, in a good mode. And I think your storytelling, your hyperactivity, your infectious personality, I think you're the kind of guy that could get, or gal, that can get it going for them. So I'm keep us informed. Obviously, the next time we do the show next week, you will give us an update and we'll find out more about Miss Celeste Marie Wilson and her possibilities.
Thinking of that, I think no matter what we should do, I think my bid next week is going to be ZZ Top.
Hell yeah.
I think we need to talk.
I think we do a whole show on that. We'll just both. You'll put your 2 songs in on ZZ. I'll put my 2 in. And then, yeah. And I'm kind of curious to see who you pick or what songs you pick. So, yeah. So we'll pick back more on that one. Stay tuned for more on ZZ Top. That'll be, I guess we're giving the teaser out for next week, ZZ Top. And then we'll find out the status if they've gotten back to Miss Celeste by then. And see, and if anything else, we're gonna find out how the whole situation went on the 10th when you put the stuff in. So it should be interesting to follow your journey.
Tell you what happened and what the experience was like.
Oh heck yeah, man! I want all the details. I want all of it. All right, there you go, folks. That is the precursor for next week's show. We're gonna give it to you in advance. So today, let me go ahead and bring up what we're doing today. We are talking about my version of Mad Season versus her version of Marvin Gaye, or her thoughts on Marvin Gaye. And it's really weird because I didn't know how many parallels were going to be in this, but it is amazing. Once I was telling Celeste how some of the songs I could see similarities or how they could connect to each other. So, all right. So that's Mad Season. Also, hey, if you like today's show, make sure you give us a shout out on our social media. You can catch us on pretty much Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. So those are all of our spots. So make sure you give us that subscribe on YouTube. It really helps us get our content out to you. We certainly appreciate it. And also, while you're doing so, if you find yourself a little tired this morning and you're trying to go to work, or you're trying to make it to work, if you didn't get your dubby, make sure you get it for the next time you go to work. It will give you the energy without the shakes. What a time to be alive. Mad Season, wake up. Now, again, Logan is not here today, so we're only going to watch it or see it. We're not going to listen to it, and then Logan is going to fix this for me next go around. But Mad Season's Wake Up. I'm curious to know, again, these 2 songs that you're listening to were off of that book, or based off of that book by Mr. Khalil Gibran called The Prophet. And the first one is called Wake Up. And I'm curious to see what you thought about Wake Up, Celeste.
I really liked sonically. It was not what I expected. I'll say this. No, for some reason in my head I expected like when I saw the cover. And then I started listening to it and it wasn't folk. It was like this folk grunge. Like it had this folk The lyrics kind of stayed kind of poetic the whole time. I enjoyed it. Was a cool reflection to the book. It also was like a very, the week before we talked about how I viewed the book and kind of like my takeaways, and it was cool to kind of look at and see someone who, I don't want to say the opposite, but like a very different view as to how I viewed it. I try to look at everything glass half full,
right?
And so when I look at something, even like, I swear it could be the worst thing ever. Like I remember it was a month after like my first really bad breakup. And I didn't break up with him. He broke up with me. But I was telling friends, they're like, "Are you sad?" And I was like, "No, I'm so grateful. It was the best thing that ever happened to me." And like but I was so focused on that whole thing that I was finding a way to make it And so when
That is so weird. That is so weird. See, so he breaks up with you, and you're like, I mean, I guess I could understand because it's a life experience, right? I guess maybe that was the approach you were going with.
Yes, I was going with. I was sad at first. Of course, we're all sad when stuff like that happens. I had a little cry, whatever, a reckoning of who I was, the normal things you go through when you're like 18, 19.
Right.
And then, like, honestly, it was about 2 weeks later, I was like, I'm so glad he broke up with me. He's really helping me out. Like, I was I was mad, but it wasn't, I was like, because the father of my children's gonna be like this, not like that. Like, it wasn't even like angry. It was just like, oh my gosh, the sun's out, like, for no reason. So, like I said, I try to make everything, like, it's not that it's positive, it's just like the bad parts of your life, the things that hurt are what lead you to be who you are.
Right.
And personally, even though I'm not even close to perfect, I'm very proud of who I am becoming. And so that makes any of that pain worth it. And then meanwhile, on the other side, you kind of have like this attitude of this pain is inescapable and it will happen again. And I mean, yes, they're not wrong. Like, pain is inescapable. Like, you can't get away from it. But then
Right.
I'm all not in like a masochistic way, but like kind of leaning into the pain and finding beauty in it.
Right.
That's kind of how I view it. But it is cool to see somebody else in their different point of view, because it's like their point of view is just as valid as mine, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
it's like, some people have a thing where they're like, nothing matters and that's terrible. And I'm like, no, nothing matters and that's great. Because that gives you so much freedom. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the exact same sentiment. It just is like, it's literally just the way you stand and look at it. It's like if you're looking at a painting in a museum and you're looking at it straight on, it looks
Yeah.
different than you walk to the side and look at it.
Yeah, it's interesting. For those of you that may have never heard of Mad Season, this is your first time experiencing Mad Season. Just to give you a little bit of slight background on them, it's basically a super group of 90s grunge members. It's Alice in Chains lead singer Lane Staley, who's the front man, and also he writes the lyrics. And then you have Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, the lead guitarist from Pearl Jam, playing lead guitar here. And then you have the bassist and the drummer. I can't remember, their names are leaving my brain right now, but they're from Screaming Trees, the brand Screaming Trees. And these are all 90s bands that came together and made this. It's only one album because unfortunately Lane passed away via overdose shortly after this album was released. They only did one concert on this album, and that was actually if you go Google Above Mad Season video, I forget what theater it's at, but there's a theater in Seattle that they performed at. It was only a one concert, and then it was done. So it's very limited on them. But really, what a great album and as a whole. Now, this is all based basically, like I said, off of the book. It's loosely based off of the book, The Prophet. But it also is very much so Lane in this specific song, Wake Up. This is about a young man, and this could be anybody. And your drug of choice could be anything. It can be drugs themselves. It could be alcohol. It could be toxic relationships. You name it. This is just him telling himself, hey, you got to wake up, man. You got to get out of what you're in, what you're doing, what you're experiencing. You need to figure it out and wake up and come back to reality, because I think he's living in this fantasy of where he's at, and he doesn't know how to get out of it. Now, for Lane Staley, this was basically about his addiction, his drug addiction with heroin and cocaine, which is ultimately what took his life at a very young age out there in Seattle. And so, yeah, so in the song "Wake Up," basically it's like the power of addiction and the ability to wake up from the power of addiction. Now, some people can go to rehabs and they can wake up that way, but it really takes you to wake up and want to do better. And I think no matter if it's drugs or whatever, it's whatever it is you're in. If it's not good for you and you're trying to get out of it, you really have to want to get out of it. And I think this is where Lane is pleading with himself in the song to get up, figure it out, and let's get our life back and let's move on. Because if anybody knows about Lane Staley, towards the end of his career, he became a recluse. Like, he didn't go anywhere. It was very, very hard to get him to even go and do a concert, much less anything else. And I think all of his friends knew at some point Lane was going to die. It was just a matter of when. And unfortunately, he passed away. I think there was another musician that went up to him right before he passed away. I don't know if it was Billy Corrigan or one of the other ones, but it might have even been what's his name? Mike Starr, the former bassist of Alice in Chains, that went up to him and knocked on his door to see if but he would never come to the door. Finally, his mom, nobody could get a hold of him. They did a health and welfare check on him. They went to his house. They found him passed away on the couch. Celeste, it's crazy, man. You know, and I there's a lot of, this is one of the things I gravitate to. Now, a lot of people gravitate to a lot of different things in music. You know, I gravitate to substance. I gravitate to life experiences. I gravitate to layers of depth in the lyrics. Things like that is what really pulls me in. Now, don't get me wrong. I like beats too, because that also pulls me in when I dance or whatever, I guess, mood I'm in. But in this one right here, I really get into artists that really, you know, are not afraid to put their struggles or whatever they're dealing with into their music, because there's somebody out there that can always hear something and benefit from it, Celeste. And I don't care what you're going through, whether it be a toxic relationship or a drug addiction or whatever. Sometimes songs like this, you know, you need to hear it and hear what he's saying. And what he's saying is, hey, wake up, man. You know, wake up. Get your life back together, because and your life doesn't have to be like this. You can be much better, whether it be get away from your abusive person or whatever. You don't have to tolerate it. You can do better for yourself. And I think that's what Lane, his whole life in the band from day one, he's always been openly openly vocal about being a drug addict, because he always wanted to change or get somebody else to change. And I think this is just his way of putting it into music. That struggle that he was going through. And Lane was a very tortured soul. I don't know if anybody that I know of that was more tortured personally than Lane was. Just the way he grew up, the way he was. It was just really a rough get-go of it. And so, yeah, I know it's crazy, Celeste, like you said, about pain, right? And trying to deal with the pain that you go through in life.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's also some of it depends on the support systems around us and how willing we are to talk to them. You know,
Yeah.
I have a very good support system. So, you know, like when I said I went through my bad breakup, and then I was like, it's shining and it's beautiful outside, you know, and like all these things, so I was like trying to make good out of it. You know, probably a lot of that had to do with I have like a great mom and a great dad and supportive siblings and a good group of friends. And when I came home, it wasn't like I was just there on my own without anybody to help. And there's a lack of like social groups and social outreach with the rise of social media.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, social media, you got to be careful, because there's a lot of toxicity on social media too. But I think with like your friends, like you said, if you have a good support system at home, for your example, yeah, like you said, I've met your family, amazing people, really, really good, strong family. Also, it looks like you have, I've met some of your friends at concerts. The guy that was playing the drums for you, the backbeat, he seemed really cool. You know, and then of course you have all your mentors too, right?
Right.
Musically, and music mentors as well as life mentors. So, and it really helps you. And I think that it's what makes you good. And not everybody, you're right, not everybody has that. And I think that's why sometimes I feel like in life, you know, you have to be careful with it, but sometimes it's good to be a mentor to people, because you just never know who doesn't have it. And if there's something you can relate to, like maybe another musician coming up, you know, and you take them under your wing, show them how the ropes work, things like whatever the case is, you know, it's always, and that's just anything in life, coworkers, whatever, you know, and it's always good to have a support system, right?
It is. It is. It's like my mom and I have talked about it, and it's like I have an army of little old Southern men. Like I do have an army of them, but it's like it's being able to have to just be lucky enough to find somebody.
Yeah.
But then part of being able to be humble enough to listen.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will get a mentor, but if you get in like that negative spiral, you tend to like push people away. And I
Right.
haven't been seeing it in other musicians where they get like, because there's a lot of pressure in the music industry. If I didn't have a support system, I could see how easy it'd be to fall into that same spiral that so many people have. Because it's all like you wake up every morning and you sit down to write, and whatever you write, you're expected to one up the last thing you've written.
Right.
And once you win like an award or something, now you have to write better than that awarded song. Every time you pitch something, every time you show it to somebody, it needs to be better than that, which is unrealistic. And then it also comes down to like how you look, how are you dressing, how are you doing this, and it's like nitpicky with a lot of these like managers and people from Nashville.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
On
And
how
you have to. It seems like you almost seems like they, and like you were saying earlier, I know you've gone to some record companies where they kind of wanted you to fit a certain kind of way, and then you got to deal with the pressures of trying to show that what you're doing is the right way, and and things like that, right? I mean, because
yeah,
that's a lot
so
of
if
people to impress.
yeah, so if you didn't have a support system, and then it's like who you are, because that's really what your art is, who you are is being
Right.
and like analyzed in a very kind of scientific way. And then you're being told what to say, how to sing, when to sing, what friends you can have in public. Because if the paparazzi's there and they're taking photos, we need to make sure you're around the right people, the people that match the brand. Now,
Right.
very isolating world that is put in there, I think, on purpose by these record companies. Because if you can kind of break someone down mentally, they're easy to manipulate. Now you can get whatever percentage you want from them. You can push them to release what you want them to release and hold back what you want them to hold back. And it's like the system's set up for artists, young artists, to emotionally struggle. It's
Yes.
set up to work for them.
Yes. It's like it's almost like the and like like in my case, of like when you're a veteran coming out of the Army or Navy or whatever, and you're going into the VA, it's like you're lost in their world until somebody can help guide you to navigate that world. And I kind of feel like that's the same thing with you. It's like you're lost as a young musician until somebody can teach you the business side of it, or the how to maintain yourself side of it. Because I do think that they can pull you in, chew you up, and spit you out if you don't have somebody really actively looking out for your interests.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. But it just is, you know, all it is just like any career that has high stress. It's just making sure that you have a support system that you need. And then like keeping yourself in check, sometimes
Right.
like every now and then I'll like get in the mood and I'll have kind of like, and a lot of girls in the music industry have this where I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so fat. I'm not fat. But I probably get told that I'm fat like once every other week by someone in the music industry. When I,
What? Oh,
and
yeah.
I and it's like it's crazy. It's like how thin do you want me to be? I wear a size 0. Gosh, but it's like
I know you're tiny as hell. That's but I feel like sometimes their what do you call it? Their expectations are so unrealistic, and I think they do that to appease the younger crowds, or whatever. But again, what message are you sending to young women or even young men? Trying to make it, no matter what it is, trying to make them see something that may be unrealistic in life. You know what I mean?
and it's
And I
like
gotta
they
imagine models go through the same thing when they're modeling and they're doing photo shoots. They probably get the same level of ridicule because they're trying to appease some sort of image that they want you to look like, and it's just so unrealistic.
right. And it's like I can see because I don't know what it's like to be a guy or a guy in the music industry, but they have to have some sort of stressor or comments similar to what's being given to me being given to them, because there just has to be some sort of equivalent. And if that was happening and then I didn't have anyone to like be like, no, Celeste, you sound crazy. You know, that would be hard. And it's also, from what I've seen, there seems to be like guys seem to have a hard time making friends when they're older. It's like there's not the same, I don't know, like girls, like if I want to go hang out with my girlfriends, I can be like, let's go get our nails done. And we go and get
Yeah.
done. You make friends with the people next to you and the lady doing your nails, and you've got all these extra friends. But then guys, they don't always have that same kind of like social web that girls have. Like there's kind of like girls kind of look out for each other a little extra than
Oh, for sure. For
so that's
sure.
what, if you're in the industry and then you've got that going on, where do you find that support system?
Yeah, exactly. And again, you have to know, like, you have to be able to tell the difference between a positive support system and a toxic support system too.
Right.
There's a lot of toxic support systems that are out there in this world if you're not careful.
There are. Because, like I said, the music industry will be like, we're your support system. You just need to change this about yourself.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but people could tell. I know, you can tell genuine from fake. I can't. I gotta imagine that I remember Taylor Swift was. I didn't catch Taylor Swift before she became a famous person, right? I only found out honestly who Taylor Swift was when she was getting that award at the show when Kanye West got up there. That was the first time I even heard of Taylor Swift. She just wasn't in my world musically. Yeah. And that was the first exposure that I ever got to Taylor Swift. And I kind of think you can see what toxic people look like in the business, because when you see what Kanye did, saying basically, hey, she's up here, but she didn't deserve it. Beyonce should have got it, this, that, and the other. I think that's a level of toxicity we're talking about, where people want you to look a certain way, or what you didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems like.
That's absolutely correct. Like that's how the toxic people kind of are. And because in my opinion, every kind of art, even if it's not my thing, because sometimes like I'll listen to something or see something, it just is like, it's like not my thing, but it's somebody, it's always something, and you can still appreciate it, even if it's not something you're going to listen to over and over again. And so it's like, to the toxic people who think certain things don't matter, in my opinion, there's a market for almost, if not all, art. And doesn't mean it's not going to change somebody else's life. Like,
trust me, there is a market for everything in this world. I promise you.
A great example is the Wiggles. Am I going to listen to art? No. And it's not as bad. It's just I'm not their market. But there's a bunch of little kids that are going to want to listen to the Wiggles, because that's going to affect them in a way that's going to last the rest of their life.
Right.
Because art's just made for different groups of people.
Well, that's the beauty of art, because it's all through the eye of the beholder.
Absolutely.
That's the beautiful thing about it. Hey, transitioning real quick into River of Deceit. Now, again, as I said the last time, if you go to page 52 of that book in the Prophet, that's the poem that this song was influenced off of. And again, it's all about pain and pain being a self-chosen type of thing. Now, I do want to point out one more, because I got to give credit to Lane Staley on one other thing. Not only was Lane a gifted vocalist and musician and songwriter, but he's also a gifted artist. And when you look at the CD cover that's on the screen right now, that's actually Lane Staley and his girlfriend at the time, Demi. Now, again, you can see how it's captured in a very painful looking way in the photo. And that's exactly what the relationship was, because you had two people codependent on each other, and both of them were drug addicts. And she died of an overdose probably maybe 7 or 8 months before he died of an overdose, give or take. I mean, it was a very, very Romeo and Juliet, very codependent type of thing. And I think it kind of shows you what ugly codependence looks like, because, again, they're codependent on each other, but they're also codependent on a drug. And I think that's just a recipe for just a very hard way to live life, not only in a relationship, but within yourself as well. And so basically the song talks about being swept up by a self-inflicted pain, or addiction, or even a false hope, right? Sometimes you could be a river of deceit, could be you going down a river of lies. People feed you a bunch of lies and you find out the truth. And that's another way of looking at the pain that he's talking about. Sometimes our pain is self-chosen by the things that we get involved in, by the people that we allow into our lives, and the things that we follow that they say. That's why we have to be very careful about it, because a lot of times we choose our own pain. And in this case, his pain that he's talking about is drug addiction and the choices that he made because of it. So he's talking about, there's another one called drowning in despair or fighting to swim to shore if he takes off his own skin. And that's very powerful, because in one instance, he's telling you, look, I'm over here suffering with drugs, like to a level I can't get out of. And I either got one or two options. I'm either going to drown in this river, or I'm going to pull myself to shore. I'm going to figure this out. And if you know Lane's life, he never was able to actually swim to shore. And part of that, I want to read to you real quick. It's very powerful. It says, my pain is self-chosen, at least so the prophet says. Talk about the prophet in the book. I could either burn or cut off my pride and buy some time, meaning like I got to let go of some of the stuff so I can get some time to figure it out. And, it's like a head full of lies is a weight tied to his waist. And that's what it is, man. A lot of that stuff is pulling you down, right? Things that you get involved in, choices that you make. And that's where he feels like, he says, like the chorus goes, the river of deceit pulls me down and the only direction to flow is down. And that's really where this song comes into play. It just contrasts hope. Either you can swim to shore or depression of falling into the things that you've chosen. I don't know if that's what you took from that song, Celeste, but that was what I took away from it.
Yeah, I took that away from it too, which is why I ended up choosing Heard It Through the Grapevine.
Yeah. Very nice. Because he talks about pulling off his skin and swimming to shore, which tells me that, the only way I'm going to get to shore is if I shed this crap that's on me and get it off of me, and then I can make it. And unfortunately, he just was never able to shed that old skin and find himself. And I feel like a lot of times we do things like that. It doesn't have to be just drugs or anything like that. It could be other things. It could be your relationship with your parents. If you're a young kid out there and you're not wanting to, you're wanting to follow the crowd of your friends versus listening to what your parents are telling you, right from wrong, left from right. It could be any number of things that's going on in this world and any demographic. I mean, your river and whatever's in your river that's holding you from being the best version of you can be, or whatever's in that river that's causing you to put self-inflicted harm in your life. That's what it's talking about. And it's like, you've got to get rid of whatever is on you by any, whether it's going to counseling or finding a good, strong mentor or confiding in an adult that you trust, whatever it is to kind of get you through whatever it is you're going through. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. And I think the river of deceit can also like spread into like kind of some other things as well, outside of just that. It can be, habits. It can be, the just not being the best you because you're not motivated.
Yeah.
It does take a certain amount of motivation to sometimes if you just get in a thing where it feels like there isn't a light at the end, it makes it hard to like get out of bed and get dressed and get up and try, which then sends you further into that spiral instead of getting you out. And it is kind of like we go through seasons of our life, and when every choice we choose brings us pain, but also every choice we choose kind of sets us on a path that's going to change us. And sometimes we choose something that brings us pain and puts us on a path we don't want to be on.
Yes.
And it's the fact that that path is not permanent. Just because you started on a path doesn't mean you have to walk it.
100%. And one of the things, another reason why I'm kind of glad that you chose Marvin Gaye is, just like Lane Staley, who had a hard life and ultimately cost him his life, so was that same tragedy with Marvin Gaye. Obviously, if you don't know the story of Marvin Gaye, his father took his life when they were having an argument, and it was described as manslaughter, but he shot him twice in the head. I don't think that's manslaughter. That's another conversation for another day. But obviously, Marvin was going through a lot of issues in his own personal life, obviously with his family and with other things. And if you listen to, which we're getting ready to, which is, I think this is a good segue into Marvin Gaye. When you listen to Marvin Gaye's music, there's a very right there. There we go. Thank you. Actually, that's one too many. When you listen to his music, you can especially heard it through the grapevine. You can hear the pain in his voice very, very vividly, just like you can hear the pain in Lane Staley's voice very, very vividly. And I thought that's why when you chose this, I was like, man, this is incredible that you would choose this. But what did you think when you heard it through the grapevine?
So one of the reasons I ended up choosing it was because I was sitting there thinking about the river of deceit. And I was thinking a lot about the word deceit, kind of in that. I was trying to go off of that. I was like, what's like a good song? Feels like they've been tricked in some sort of like toxic situation. And then Heard It Through the Grapevine kind of came into my mind because it's, heard it through the grapevine, you ain't no longer gonna be mine. And I was like, that's kind of a hard way. Like, I don't know about you, but if I was sitting there talking to a friend, like, oh, BTW, your boyfriend's mad. I'd feel like I was. And so that was kind of the first thing, was like the lyrics and the way they're not the same. There are different ways of viewing them, but there's kind of this mirror between the two of them.
Right.
We're reflecting each other. And then the second thing was kind of the vocals and the like that. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's like that very raw vocal sound.
Yeah, absolutely. Marvin Gaye, man. He really, Motown is Motown by a few people, and Marvin Gaye is one of those people that really, really defined what Motown music is and what it sounds like. Very, very, very Gordy. All of them poured their soul into Marvin Gaye, and you can feel it in his music. When this song first came out, Heard Through the Grapevine, it was actually done in '67 by Gladys Knight and the Pips. That was she's actually the one that wrote the song. And then in '68, which, by the way, her version of it is a very upbeat version, a little bit happier version, just kind of more like, hey, girl, I heard old boys down there cheating or whatever. I'm just telling you, I heard through the grapevine, but hey, whatever. Hey, let's go to the store and have some fun. Whatever. It's more upbeat, two people having a conversation. When you and then the chorus, then you get Marvin Gaye, who comes in '68, redoes it, and then puts his spin on it, which is the version we're going to talk about today. But I did want everybody to understand that there were two other versions. One of the version was Creedence Clearwater Revival, which is the more popularized version that you hear mostly in grocery stores or wherever it is, your dentist office or wherever it is, that plays contemporary music or whatever. That's Creedence Clearwater Revival is probably the version you're going to hear. Now the California Raisins redid it, but that was just more for video's sake. I believe that's still Creedence Clearwater sound, and then they just put it to the cartoon of the Raisins. That may have been the more popular way you heard it or saw it. And again, more very upbeat, commercialized, whatever you want to call version of that song. But when you look at Marvin Gaye took that song and took a completely right turn and went a different direction than what Gladys and Creedence did. And in his version of it, it's more dark, it's more soulful in depth. it's very painful, it's very moody, and it's very, very deep. And it's about a man who is discovering his partner's infidelity through rumors and gossip, feeling betrayed because she didn't tell him first. Now, yeah, I kind of get it. I'd be a little angry too if I heard something about my woman through a grapevine and she didn't have the balls to come talk to me about it first. And I had to hear it from my friend down the street or whatever the case is. And I think that's what Marvin's coming through with this pain. Would you agree with that, Celeste?
I would agree with that.
Yeah. And it really talks a lot about damaged trust and pride that can come from that gossip mill. That's why my mommy always said, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. And don't get caught up in the gossip train. But I can only imagine how painful it must have been for, and the way he hits those high notes, Celeste, the way he transitions into those high, and I think that's the pain, right? When he goes up high in the registry, that's when you really feel his pain about this song and what he's trying to convey in it.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like when humans are in a lot of pain, like you're really uncomfortable, like some things are kind of a couple things that can happen, but I think one of like the rawest way to express it is through music, because the closest thing you can kind of get to that like scream, because like, you know, when you're just so mad you want to scream, the closest thing you get is belting. And so when you hear this, just someone's mouth open and they're just wailing, and you can like feel the emotion behind it, because it's got that like it's got that wound behind it, you know?
Yes. And you know, it's what's to me is the way that the organ and the drums and all that kind of, or the organ and the tambourine is very heavily, very 1960s Vietnam era sonically.
Yes, I agree.
I didn't mean to cut you off. What else were you saying towards the end of that? I apologize.
Oh, yes, I agree.
Yeah, it's just very, and you know, because there's, and I cannot remember the movie titles run up off the top of my head. I want to say one of them I think might have been either Platoon or maybe even in Forrest Gump it might have been in. But there's a lot of Vietnam movies that are out there on the movies and stuff that use this song in their music score. So it's very, very popularized during that Vietnam era movement. And I think that's that Motown era, that very Four Tops, that very Temptations like feel to it. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I agree. And it's got that, I think it's that style of music is so heavily associated. And it's more than just Motown, because it spread into the Muscle Shoals sound. And, you know, I feel like I would put like Creedence Clearwater in the same group as them, and you know, Alabama and that group kind of fit in there with them. And it was like this Southern, I mean, I just feel like Motown is just like American rock, like Southern rock going up all the way up to the North, and that sound just traveled all the way down, and it was like this moment of social unrest that like spurred this music where the larger sociological issues came in with these interpersonal issues and helped make art that talked about both. And that's something we also see with that 90s movement, where the wider sociological issues came and met the interpersonal issues, and they were able to create these kind of songs, record these kinds of songs that not only spoke to individuals, but spoke to this wider movement, this wider social moment happening, you know?
Yes.
This lonely thing or an economic recession or whatever it was in that moment, it kind of like pointed towards that, and then it gave you what the personal experience with it was.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, like I said a minute ago, Marvin Gaye's voice is just so beautiful, man. I mean, there's a lot of musicians out there that I like, but sonically, just the way he transitions from the lower notes to the higher notes and the way in which he does it, and it's just so smooth. Like, I mean, it's like silk. I mean, it's just so perfect, right? Chris Cornell is another one that I like that really does sonically very, very well. But man, that man's voice. I gotta be honest with you. I wish I could sing like. If you say, Jay, what's one voice you wish you could sound like? I would say either if I can't be Chris Cornell, please, or I can't even be Johnny Cash, make me Marvin Gaye, because I just the way he can fall aside, the way it's just amazing. Because a lot of people when they go those higher registers, you can hear them like it's a forced higher registry, but for him, it's almost like he goes up there and he can live there, and it's like not a big deal how he got there in his range.
Yeah, he just floats.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he ever got any music lessons or if that's just him all natural, but man, that's just incredible. And then we go into a more lighter, happier version of Marvin and How Sweet It Is. And I can't tell you, man, how many times I've heard this song and various things. What was it about How Sweet It Is that captured you by Marvin Gaye?
I just felt like we had done so many sad songs and we needed a little something happy. I was like, end on like a downer.
It's like, what is it? Hey, if you want to hit that depression hour, just go listen to Celeste and Jay talk about music. That shit'll make you very, very depressed. I feel like I need about 4 Band-Aids and a good therapy session.
That's what I felt like. I was like, we need one thing that's like has a sparkle for life in it. Yes.
Next week we will be doing Back to Life. Back to Life. I'm sorry. That's this. Hey, listen, that was my jam back in them days. I bet your mom was jamming to that too when she was in high school.
My sister loves that song. We've been jamming to it in my car.
Man, listen, if you want to get out there and dance, man, that's a hell of a good song. Honestly, there's a few other ones that are really, really good, but that's a really good dance jam. But yeah, it's an iconic song though. How Sweet It Is, right? I mean, it's everywhere. I can't think of one person that probably's never heard of this.
That's true, and it's one of those songs that the younger generation won't realize that they've heard it until they hear it. Like if I say Marvin Gaye's How Sweet It Is, they'll go no, and then he'll play it and they'll go yes.
Yeah, because maybe they don't, but the minute they hear it, they know because it has that groove that everybody resonates to. It's almost kind of a Nat King Cole kind of vibe to it a little bit.
Kind of does. It kind of does.
I don't know if you picked that up, but when I was watching the video that he did and things like that, he looked it sounded kind of very Nat King Cole-ish, which is a very amazing musician to be compared to. Another one.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I was just thinking, oh my gosh, when I was thinking of this, I was thinking of all of those like Motown love songs, like the Postman song, the hey, wait a minute, Mr.
Postman. I'm telling you, and it makes you like this song, it just takes you back to that time period, doesn't it? Like really, when all these songs were, like I said, I was talking about the Temptations, Four Tops, all these other people that are doing this very in that mode, and you can it's in that time frame, right?
The other one I'm thinking of is the Four Seasons.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Remember the Mamas and the Papas? All the leaves are brown, leaves are brown, leaves are brown, and the sky is gray. I'm like, man, Celeste, I would have given everything to be at Woodstock during that time period because I guarantee you that field was crazy.
One time I had a lady tell me my music was really good, but if only I'd been born in the 1970s. And I was like, oh gosh, I felt that in my soul.
You know what, though? But that's actually a really good compliment because during that time period in the 70s, a lot of folk music, a lot of great folk music, and a lot of great Southern rock and Atlanta country as well. Pretty much all the things that you fusion in your music, the 70s was the perfect time frame for that, man. I mean, it was beautiful. Even in the late 60s, early 70s, that vibe was very, very potent.
It was.
Incredible, man. Incredible. And again, I feel like this is one of those things where it's very piano driven, tambourine driven, very harmony driven, backup driven, great pianos. And I know how you love the piano. And I know that was one of the biggest things I picked up was how prominent the piano was.
Oh, you catch me and I'm listening to something that's probably got piano in it. Did you notice that when I had you listen to the band too, how much they use piano?
Oh, yeah. But I already knew that. When I already kind of had an idea before I even listened to the band that there was going to be some piano involved. And by the way, that's a great thing because a lot of great songs are either written on the guitar or the piano. That's kind of how a lot of them start out at. And I like it, man. I think it's amazing. And I know how good you are at the piano. And I know a lot of your stuff is either piano driven or guitar driven, which is, like I said, amazing.
And guitar songs. And, the instrument really does affect how it comes out.
And I know, listen, I know you can appreciate off topic, but I know you can appreciate Guns N' Roses' November Rain and the piano that Axl Rose did in November Rain. That was because even I was impressed. Like, man, that's a damn good piano solo.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
So if you guys have never heard a good piano solo or you've never heard of the song I'm talking about, November Rain, go listen to November Rain by Guns N' Roses, and I think that piano solo, along with Slash's guitar solo, it's almost like the dueling of the piano versus the guitar, and the rain is coming down. It's just a hell of a good video and song. I mean, it's really, really well done, in my opinion, anyway. All right, well, next week, because I know Celeste has to get out of here, but the hour time frame, Celeste will be have already gone through that process. We'll find out her journey over the weekend. And then we will talk a lot of ZZ Top, which I'm going to already prophesy, and I'm going to put it out there in the universe that Celeste will win it. She will be the opener, and it's going to be amazing. It's your boy Jay McLovin here with Miss Celeste Marie Wilson. And if you guys don't know where to find her stuff at by now, you obviously are under a rock. It's at CelesteMarieWilsonMusic.com. Everything, one-stop shop, merchandise, you want it, it's there. You can also find our Celeste Marie Wilson on Facebook. It's your boy Jay McLovin, Whiskey Hour Podcast. Catch you on the next one.